My wife texted, "I'll be staying at David's tonight, don't wait up." I replied, "Thanks for letting me know." Then I packed her entire wardrobe in boxes and left them at David's door. Her 3 a.m. panic call. Chapter 1. The text that changed everything. The day had started out ordinary. I had just finished washing the dishes from dinner. My wife Jenna said she was heading out to catch up with some old friends from college. It wasn't unusual, Jenna had always been social and I never believed in checking up on her. That was the trust we had. Or so I thought. Around 10:42 p.m. as I was getting ready to wind down with a book, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Jenna. "I'll be staying at David's tonight, don't wait up." I stared at the screen, blinking, convinced it was some kind of joke. But no laughing emoji followed. No explanation. Just that one line. David. That name echoed in my head like a gunshot in a quiet room. He was her work bestie. The guy she claimed was just a friend. The one she always said I was being too insecure about. I had never confronted her, never even snooped. I gave her space, gave her the benefit of the doubt. I even met David once. He shook my hand like a man who thought he was better than me. But now. She wasn't hiding it. She wasn't even pretending. The message was so casual, so emotionless, like I was nothing but a roommate she no longer needed to check in with. I took a deep breath and slowly typed my reply. "Thanks for letting me know." That was it. No drama, no calls, no accusations. I walked calmly to our bedroom, opened her side of the closet, the scent of her perfume still clung to the air. I stared at her carefully organized dresses, heels, designer handbags. The expensive things I had gifted her over the years, thinking it made her happy. I pulled out a few large boxes from the garage. One by one, I folded her clothes. Not angrily. Methodically. I made sure every piece was packed neatly. Her shoes were paired correctly. Her jewelry boxes padded with tissue. I even labeled the boxes by category: dresses, shoes, toiletries. By the time I was done it was nearly midnight. I loaded everything into the back of my SUV and then I drove straight to David's place. A fancy downtown apartment complex with valet service. I didn't go through the lobby. I went around the back, where deliveries usually happened. Security cameras watched as I stacked her boxes neatly beside the service entrance. On the topmost box, I taped a short note. "Since she's staying with you, you might as well have her things too. All yours. Good luck." Then I got back into the car, turned on the ignition, and drove away. Not once did I look back. Chapter 2. The wardrobe delivery. I parked 2 blocks away and watched the building on my phone screen for 10 minutes, breathing slow and steady. David's floor was one of the penthouses. Big windows. Bigger ego. The concierge camera had a perfect view of the service entrance and the loading dock. At 12:17 a.m., the door opened. A tall man in a robe stepped out. Not David. Not yet. A friend. Someone who laughed a little too loudly in the hallway and glanced at the stacked boxes with curiosity. He frowned, grabbed the top box, and carried it inside. 2 minutes later, a woman, not Jenna, came out carrying a glass of champagne. She paused, saw the boxes, and smiled like she'd been given a gift. She walked straight over and started opening them. I watched Jenna's wardrobe disappear into a stranger's apartment. A silk dress folded, heels carried off, a necklace set placed on a vanity. With each box that was taken in, my chest tightened, but I felt nothing like I expected. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt relieved. Calm. The quiet work of an ending that finally matched reality. At 3:04 a.m., my phone shattered the silence with the sound I'd come to dread. Jenna. Unknown number. She was breathless. A panic that had no stage whisper to disguise it. "Where are my things?" She cried into the phone, voice raw. "What did you do? Who left them there?" "David doesn't." She was rambling and I let her. "You told me you'd be staying at David's," I said, my tone deliberate and flat. "So I left your things where you wanted to be." A sob. A sharp inhale. "You can't do that. You can't just." "I can," I said. Consider it an administrative transfer. She cursed. A high, ugly sound. You're insane. I'm done being polite, I said. You left without a word. You thought you could erase me with a text, silence on the line. Then a new kind of panic started. The selfish surface panic of someone who suddenly realizes convenience is gone. Please. Please come get them. I'll explain. You'll explain to David, I said. I already did the math. Your clothes. Your accessories. The things you take when you choose someone over your marriage. Those are on you now. If David wants to keep a wardrobe, he can keep a wardrobe. Her voice cracked. You'll make me look like an idiot. You already made that choice. She tried one last thing. The old soft denial routine. We were just talking. You know how it is, I heard it all before. I'd heard it when she swore she was leaving the bar before midnight. When she said, he's just a friend. Don't call me again, I said finally. If you want your things back, go to David's and ask him, politely. I won't be part of the retrieval. She begged. She pleaded. She sobbed. She threatened. I listened, the way you listen to a storm passing a window, removed, safe, and dry. Then came the strangest moment, a beat where anger should have come, but instead something gentler replaced it. Eli. She whispered suddenly, changing tack, the oldest weapon in the book. He's going to ask about his mother. I felt the knife twist. If you don't want him confused, then don't make plans you can't keep. Don't make him choose between two versions of you. She sniffed. You'll regret this. I could have said 100 things. But I didn't. Instead I said one. Good night, Jenna. I hung up, and for the first time in a long time, I slept. Chapter 3. The delivery by noon the next day, every single item of Ava's clothing, shoes, handbags, and even her makeup bags were carefully boxed, labeled, and loaded into the back of my truck. I didn't touch anything else. No jewelry, no electronics, nothing that could be argued over later. Just her wardrobe. The things she wore when she left my house to be with another man. It was poetic in a way. I arrived at David's luxury condo complex just after 2 p.m. The security guard at the gate gave me a once-over but didn't stop me when I said I was delivering some things for Mr. Langston's guest. The concierge raised an eyebrow when I walked in carrying the first 2 boxes. I simply said, these belong to the woman currently staying with David Langston in Unit 19B. By the time I wheeled in the last batch on a trolley I borrowed from the front desk, a small crowd of amused onlookers, residents, staff, maybe even a few guests, had gathered. I left the boxes neatly stacked just outside his front door. And then, right before I turned to leave, I took a photo. A perfect, full-frame shot of her designer-labeled chaos dumped on another man's doorstep. That photo would later come in handy. As I got into my truck, I sent her one final message. All your things have been delivered. I hope David enjoys the new responsibility. I turned my phone off and drove away. I didn't check it until much later, just before bed in fact. But when I did, the unread messages lit up like wildfire. 3:02 a.m. Ava, where are my things? Why would you do this? 3:04 a.m. Ava, you embarrassed me. People saw it. The concierge asked David about it in front of guests. 3:06 a.m. Ava, this is so petty. You're acting insane. Just wait until my lawyer hears about this. 3:12 a.m. Ava, please answer. David is furious. He didn't want this kind of drama. He's saying maybe I should stay somewhere else. That was the moment I smiled, closed my eyes, and had the first peaceful night's sleep in weeks. Because the truth was, I wasn't done yet. Chapter 4. The unraveling. The day after the wardrobe delivery, I walked into my office refreshed, focused, and ready. By now Ava's image of control was cracking, and fast. I hadn't responded to her texts. Not even to the voicemail where she cried, David says I humiliated him, that I treated his place like a garbage dump. He told me to take my boxes and leave. Good. That was step 1. But I wasn't stopping at revenge by boxes. You see, Ava had been using our joint accounts to fund a portion of her secret independence. She had no idea I had been tracking the finances ever since she started pulling away. Every spa day she called me time. Every gift she claimed was for coworkers. Every Uber she took that curiously ended near David's apartment. I had every receipt. And now, I had a lawyer. I filed for divorce the next morning, citing adultery with financial misappropriation. My lawyer attached statements, screenshots, and even her text saying, "I'll be staying at David's tonight. Don't wait up." The judge granted an emergency freeze on the accounts. The car and her name. Leased under my credit. The penthouse she was eyeing with David. Deposit declined. Then came the kicker. I emailed her job, not to ruin her life, but because her work-from-home days were actually David from hotel days. I didn't even say anything harsh. I simply wrote, "To whom it may concern, please find enclosed records indicating Ava Henderson's whereabouts during multiple work-from-home days. This may be relevant to your company's remote work audit. Regards, Michael Henderson." That's all I said. By Friday, Ava was suspended pending internal review. David. Oh, he'd been told by his employer that the negative attention wasn't ideal for a senior executive, and maybe he should take a leave of absence. I didn't have to yell. I didn't have to threaten. I just let their actions speak for themselves. And the best part? While they were scrambling to do damage control, I moved forward quietly, meeting with my lawyer, getting the house appraised, preparing custody arrangements for our dog, Jasper. Ava called again. This time she sounded small. "Michael, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Maybe we can fix this. You and me. Forget David." I didn't reply. I didn't need to, because the men she once laughed at for being too polite, too quiet, too predictable, had just destroyed her entire fantasy without raising his voice once. Final chapter, the quiet victory. The court date came like clockwork. Ava sat across from me, dressed in muted tones, her once confident posture replaced by a nervous stiffness. David wasn't with her. In fact, no one was. Her parents, who once fawned over our marriage, had distanced themselves ever since the scandal reached her workplace and social circle. My lawyer handed over the final packet, clean, precise, and devastating in implication. The judge reviewed everything. Financial fraud, documented. Adultery, confirmed via her own messages. Misuse of shared funds, traced back through joint statements. Custody of our dog, Jasper, uncontested. Ownership of the home, awarded to me. Court fees, to be paid by her. By the time the gavel came down, Ava had lost everything she thought she controlled. She tried to speak after court, catching up to me in the hallway. "Michael, please, can we just talk?" I paused, turned slowly, and said, "You traded loyalty for attention, commitment for cheap thrills, and truth for lies. You never thought I'd walk away." But I didn't just walk. I rebuilt. Then I handed her a plain envelope, my official change of address form. A clean cut, no breadcrumbs, no back doors, no shared anything. She opened it as I walked away. I could hear her breath hitch, and in that single sound, I heard the collapse of every smug word, every dismissive laugh, every, "You'll never find better," but I had. 3 months later, I stood in a sunlit cafe, coffee in hand, Jasper asleep at my feet. Across from me was a woman named Claire, kind, bright, and genuinely curious about the world. No secrets, no games, just honest conversation. And when she smiled, it wasn't like Ava's old performative smirk. It was real, like fresh air after a storm. "You're quiet," Claire said. "Just thinking how good it feels," I replied, "to finally be seen for who I am, not for what I can be used for." She reached out, lightly touching my hand. "Then here's to new beginnings." And as we toasted with coffee mugs instead of champagne flutes, I realized. The best revenge was never about ruining Ava's life. It was about reclaiming mine. Was this revenge perfectly justified, or should the storm have raged harder? Drop your verdict below. I read every single one. Hit like if you crave justice, and share this story with someone who needs its fire.